Good afternoon. How are we doing? It is Tuesday, July 30th. Tomorrow's the last trading day of the month, as well as FOMC. It's going to be a volatile one. Today, we actually got some pretty good action. Nice directional move today. Now, anytime price is trading within a near-term range, remember that the best opportunities within that range are going to happen near the edge points of the range. And today was a phenomenal example of that type of action and of that kind of sentiment that I speak about quite frequently when it comes to trading ranges. So when we're looking at a range, I'll just use this range here on NQ to kind of drive this point home. But when we're looking at this, we're considering the top of the range, this area, right? So let me just make that red, right? That's your kind of resistance zone. And what we can see here is that look at every time price has tested this area. You have right there, that's kind of before the range was built. Right through here, kind of setting up that resistance zone right through here, even with this overnight action through here, right through here yesterday, right? So as price, what I was talking about this morning is we had already seen price retest kind of a little bit of a mid-range reference point, right? That is a level of interest, but as far as the structure is concerned, that's a mid-range reference point. Got the overnight bounce. Okay, it's up into 250. It's coming into this area. So what we really want to see is how price trades in this area. Now, full disclosure, I was expecting, considering price was trading above 250, I was expecting price to give a true retest of that prior day high, of that resistance zone, kind of like what we saw in ES, which I'll get to in a bit. But we did not see that, right? Price did not manage to actually show that follow through into that near-term range high. And if we actually take a look at some prior day structure, if you watched my scalping trade recaps that I posted in the trade review, I was talking about this area right through here from the prior day structure. As you know, I like to lean on that prior day structure quite heavily whenever I can, whenever we have price actually trading within that prior day's range. I'm paying a lot of attention to regular trading hours, prior day structure points. And again, if you watched my live analysis this morning, the live scalping that I did in NQ, that video is in the trade review tab if you missed it. But I was talking about this area right through here being problematic, right? Expecting some sellers to materialize there. Now, again, price did not perfectly get there, about 10 points shy on NQ, which is pretty minor. But this is problematic. So we have that big resistance zone. Price rejects. Take a look at that 5-minute candle, right? Incredibly bearish. No real bid here at 250 as far as the 5-minute is concerned. And then from there, at that point, this is kind of the kicker. You have to remember where price is located within the current structure. If you start to see some rejection like this, yes, you can try 250, sure. I don't blame you for trying longs there. I don't blame you for trying longs at 19,100. But just remember, price is rejecting that upper portion of the near-term range. Can it trade down into the lower portion of the near-term range? Absolutely. Right? And so if we have kind of a range that looks like this, right? And let me make this, I'll just call it green, and we'll kind of draw our two boxes like that, right? You have the lower half of the range and then the upper half of the range. Just want to be cautious and cognizant of the fact that, in the upper portion of the range, you're in that resistance area. You want to be more cautious with those long setups. Now, once you start to see those higher time frame reversals developing near this kind of lower portion of that near-term range, assuming that the range actually holds, which in this case it did not, that is where it's going to be better to be looking for those longs. So keep this in mind. as price continues to, trade within a near-term range, because we see these ranges all the time. This is a very common state that price will be in, range bound for days on end, for weeks on end, sometimes even for months. And so you have to understand, or you at the very least, you want to understand how price responds to the edge points of the range, because it's really going to improve your game. And then not only how it responds to the edge points of the range, but how you're going to get involved, or if you're going to get involved based on what is happening near those edge points. So again, you start to see the rejection near that upper portion. Thought process should be, all right, do I really want to get involved in the middle of the range? Maybe, but let me at least wait for something that looks really good. And that could be, a higher time frame reversal signal, or some type of market structure play, or maybe something else that you have within your playbook. Otherwise, let's let it trade down into the lower portion. Maybe we look for some shorts if that's your play. If you like to grab the shorts, there are plenty of opportunities to partake with the move lower today, trend day move lower today. Otherwise, again, like I said, looking for those longs. Sit on your hands, do less, go outside, just wait. Just wait, because this type of action, if you're not careful, will crush you if you're looking for longs, right? Trying to fade that trend day move. Now, as far as what we'll be looking at for the FOMC session, kind of the main watch here is going to be how price responds to this area right through here, last week's low. As of right now, this can be treated like a spring setup, right? We have the look below, the higher time frame structure, quick reclaim. Sellers wanted to see that prior weekly low right through here. That's the 18,875 area rejecting. They did not want to see price pushing back within, or essentially back above last week's low. So now what we could see is potentially a higher low building out right through here. Now, if this higher low holds during the overnight session, we'll be seeing price back within essentially this near-term range, right? And looking for, ideally post FOMC, a move back into this area. That would be the textbook setup, the textbook play. Now, does everything always happen in a textbook fashion in markets? Absolutely not. But that's kind of one scenario that I'll be looking for, and it's all going to hinge on how price responds to last week's low. So basically this 880, 875 area where you see this structure kind of building out right now is going to be the primary focus. Now, that largely depends on how active the overnight session is, and if there is a lot of activity. I'm not expecting a lot, but if there is a lot, we can talk about that in the pre-market prep live stream. As of right now, this 18,875 and kind of 19K area are going to be the primary watch here on NQ. Now, taking kind of a more zoomed out look at this, remember the fact that we did not ever see a change in character with this near-term range that built out. So your intermediate term is going to be the past few weeks. Your near term is going to be kind of the past few sessions. Here's near term. Here's intermediate term. Near term's a range. Intermediate term, what is it? Still downtrend, right? And then long term to bring it all the way in, obviously an uptrend. So we have multiple time frame analysis that is not aligned, right? As of right now, this intermediate term trend is still showing that sellers are in control. And before we see this show a change in character, we need price up and through that 400 area. That's the most recent lower high right through here. Okay, so this is still a downtrend. All right, caution is always warranted. Number one, when we don't have multiple time frame alignment. And number two, since I know so many focus strictly on the long side, you have to be careful with this type of action. It's a downtrend. Okay. So that's NQ with a look at the structure. Let me zoom out a little bit more actually, and let's get some eyeballs on that daily time frame chart. And we'll probably see some big support through here. Yes, there is major support through here. So still some responsive buying versus this 875 area. Remember, key area of resistance all through here, right? That then became the breakout point. Price breaks out. It holds it with a big washout, but holds it as support, and you get that monster move. So bringing it all together with that multiple time frame analysis, very important. And as of right now, the setup is tricky, right? Just put it like that. Setup is tricky. Take a look at that weekly candle. The week is still pretty young. It's Tuesday. We have FOMC tomorrow, but these are things to be thinking about, most definitely. So that's NQ. Main watch, to reiterate, last week's low. Want to see if this structure is going to continue to hold or not. Now, ES, much cleaner. Much cleaner. That tends to be the theme lately on ES here, at least the past couple of months, trading in a much better fashion. Look at the strength here into the close. That's really good. So ES, what I love about ES is that the range held. Number one, we had a stronger area of resistance at that 55.30, and it was actually tested. It was actually tested. So that same thing, the same exercise I did with the boxes, I'm not going to do that all over again here on ES, but you can do the same thing on your own. Here's your resistance zone. We want to be careful up through here with longs. Yes, there will be scenarios where you'll see some long setups up here, but the main thing I'm trying to emphasize is awareness. Have awareness about where price is within the current location. If you need more notes actually on your screen, like you can put a little text box on here and actually type something out to remind yourself when you're actually, intraday trading to help you out, then do that. Do that, right? That's going to help you. Now, once price actually comes and trades into the lower portion of that near-term range, we're looking for any type of buying activity. Price does not even undercut last week's low. Buyers step in pretty heavily here. So it's looking really good. It's looking really good. I'll be looking at, depending on, again, overnight action, I'll be looking at this 54.90. I don't love this location, right, because it is mid-range. But this is responsive buying, so we want to see if this move is going to continue back into 55.30. Where's price coming from? Where's it going to go? Right, as of right now, it's coming from that near-term range low. It could trade up into the near-term range volume point of control and potentially that 55.30. So depending on where we're opening, looking at 54.90, and then as always, I'll share an update with the pre-market prep live stream tomorrow morning. But some pretty good action today in ES, so long as you're aware of trade location. So hope we drove that point home. If you guys have questions about anything, feel free to shoot me a DM in the Traders Think Tank. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning for the prep. Have a good afternoon.